we as a society are slowly shifting towards this decentralized future. And before you eye roll, this is not about crypto. This shift actually applies to all aspects of our life. We are naturally progressing towards a decentralized society in business and commerce. And this type of philosophy we apply to any business, whether it's SaaS, coaching, agency, local businesses, whatever, right? And if you think back to how we operated as a society in the early 1900s, you most likely only made a purchase in a physical setting. So a good example of this is my favorite, Blockbuster, right? You probably remember the popcorn smell. You're entering the building. You had to read the back of each DVD to understand the plot. Like that whole experience was a physical experience and actually very nostalgic. But also, data was centralized. And as a consumer, you had no choice but to purchase what the store provided you. This is what we call Web 1.0. So what are the characteristics of this experience? Content is static. Web pages are fixed, not interactive. Content created by a few and consumed by many. Users can only view and read information. You cannot contribute anything or interact. So essentially, read only. Control is very limited. It's only controlled by a few entities. So all the content was controlled by just a few entities. Governance, quote unquote, is very limited. It's a set of very basic rules and it's owned by, again, a controlled entity. Also, the user role is very passive. We can't provide anything. Fast forward today, how we operate society from 2000 to 2010, the dot-com boom occurred, right? And social media accelerated us into this less centralized economy. And we call this Web 2.0. So platforms like MySpace, if you remember, was very big in letting content creators obviously share images, but more importantly, they're trying to make this push towards MySpace music. And brought together millions of users. It was the first true social platform, back in I think it was 2003, 2005. That's from what I remember when I was in high school. And individuals can communicate, unlike Web 1, where I had to communicate with my, elementary crush via AIM or email. But that was the Web 1 experience. It was very physical versus now we're in this whole web universe. So if you think about that, MySpace is what really pioneered these platforms like Facebook, SoundCloud that would share music. If you think about 2010 to 2020, that's when social media really took off and accelerated commerce in a different way. Individuals now can create their own stores. They can use, social media or Google search to search for their, the products that they want online. This is where users have some control over what they see based on their interests and search queries. You can literally attach a piece of content to a product, whether it's a direct-to-consumer product or a local business. And this is called Web 2. What are the characteristics of this experience? You have dynamic content, where web pages are dynamic, allowing for interactive and user-generated content. So unlike static nature like the Web 1, Web 2 enables real-time updates and a personalized experience based off your interactions or based off user interaction. Then you have users that can both view and contribute to content, right? So this is where users can interact with content, share their opinions through engagement. And this is a shift from passive consumption to active participation versus Web 1, where it's only you see it. Now anyone can actually interact with each other. Or now with control, the content and distribution was less centralized because it allowed people like myself and small businesses to publish and promote their products and services. But of course, you have major platforms like Google, Facebook, and Amazon having control over this visibility and all the data that goes behind it. In terms of governance, there's a set of rules that essentially monitor the content. You have the privacy policy, the term of use of how you can actually use that website, right? Like that's how they govern. And in terms of the user role, users can actively create, share, and interact with content. And they have some control over what they see based off of interest in search queries. So it makes that online experience more personalized. Now integrate this with commerce and how it shifted from late 2010s to now. Individuals like myself and you can now create their own online stores. We can use search platforms to reach potential customers by attaching a product to a piece of content. Businesses can engage with consumers directly, whether it's through direct consumer models or local services. And it's in a less centralized economy, right? So the power is in the user because of what we create as content. Currently, we have not fully integrated into a Web3 economy, but it's definitely coming. And we're actually more so in a Web 2 economy where it's happening before your eyes. This is where users have more control over what they see online. The algorithm is getting better. more content creators are emerging every single day. You have people like the Hot Tour Girl or these TikTok stars becoming viral overnight and creating their own platforms. Now, I'm actually not telling you to go do that. Hopefully you actually build a real business. Not saying that they don't have a real business, but it's like hitting a lotto trying to go viral, right? But besides the point. Then you have tools like AI giving people like myself and marketers in this space an edge. Now, if you look at the landscape in TikTok, they just released a feature called TikTok Shop, right? And it allows every single creator to now be their own store, but in a more content-driven way, right? So you can actually make a piece of content where it's more of a product placement. You say, hey, got these, buy it here. And that actually now is getting distributed, not from a centralized platform, but someone can actually buy that directly from that user on the spot versus having to go into a website to buy it or having to go to Amazon to buy it. You literally can buy it from the page, but from the actual user, where the user gets the majority of the share, or at least a good portion of that commission. And if you think about this experience, much like how Blockbuster was our entertainment company back then, you now have TikTok where you're literally, that's consuming most of our time, right? You can obviously skip, you can, like, and that will obviously personalize your experience. So this experience that I'm saying with the whole TikTok shop and how things are getting more and more as we progress as a society is shifting towards this Web3 experience. And if you compare Web 2 to Web 2.5, it provides a greater user control and personalization. In Web 2, users can create content and interact with content, but obviously the platforms have more control over what the content sees versus now, the algorithm is getting so much better that it's allowing a more personalized user experience. So what are the characteristics of a Web 2 experience now? Enhanced user control. Users have more control over what they see and interact online, and it's based off advanced algorithms now that is going through machine learning and AI, so it's more personalized. And the content, the web pages, the platforms are more dynamic. It's more of what the user generated content versus the actual publisher or the distributor or the entity that's actually controlling the platform. Now, with the users, obviously, when you think about this, you're going to buy based off of reviews, based off of comments or engagement or popularity of the person, right? So that's how people are mainly buying now, and it's more of that word of mouth. It's not just, hey, I'm hitting you with this ad like a true Web 2. It's more of like, I'm going to go based off of reviews and based off of this influence the person has. Now, control and ownership, you have TikTok that's really spearheading this movement, and Amazon is going towards more of that as well. And users have a big role in the content creation and how the marketplace operates. In terms of governance, platforms set rules, they moderate content, but user feedback helps moderate tremendously because the platforms now are taking the user feedback and rolling it back as a feedback loop into how the user experience is. User role, this is where the active users are able to create, share, interact with content and products. But as we look towards the future of now and beyond, we're beginning to transition to what we know as Web 3. And this era will essentially give us more user control, and we get to choose as people to essentially govern or see what we want to see. We're not just going to see what the platform tells us. It's based off of what we like and what we know. So to kind of wrap that up, on Web 2, such as Facebook and Instagram, it allows users to simply create and interact with content versus platforms maintain more control of your data and your visibility through the algorithm because it wasn't that developed and it was very new technology. Of course, users still participated and had limited control over their data. Versus Web 3, this will take it a step further where you as a user will have full ownership of the data and also you not being tracked online everywhere, everything you do. I still think we have a lot of time to actually hit true Web 3 or this Web 3 experience where everything is in the control of you and me, and we get to choose exactly what we see online and everything we actually control and we own. But when it comes to business, it actually gives us an advantage. So before I get there, I want to talk about the characteristics of the Web 3 feature. So you have decentralized control. Platforms and applications will operate as decentralized networks where there is no singular control of what you see online. And most likely the infrastructure, like the internet, will obviously not be decentralized because we need internet and those companies need internet. But the social media platforms that we use might not be TikTok, might not be Facebook, but it might be one where everything is actually being controlled by multiple entities, multiple people, not just one or two people or entities. Users have control over their data. It's full control, and basically we decide what we want to see and use. There's enhanced privacy and security. So with the blockchain, it actually makes your data more private, more secure, and it's autonomous, which means it makes its own decision on how things should operate. It's not really based off of the CEO of a company where they can censor the data that we see. And then there'll be these what we call decentralized autonomous organizations called DAOs, where instead of Facebook, it might be 10 social media companies that govern, and that's what's going to allow users to vote on key decisions and policies and how rules are basically based in this Web3 world. Then users will be able to have an integral part in a decentralized network, because not just consumers, but they're also contributors and decision makers. So back to the DAO situation, they also can vote and actually have an impact. With the world shifting towards this decentralized philosophy, ask yourself, what are you doing to ensure your product is not being replaced or your business is not going to be replaced? And what are you doing to ensure your business adopts this mindset? Because people who adopt this mindset will have the competitive edge. How can I become this decentralized business where everything is not being decided by me? And people should have a rule set base to make their own decisions in my business. And what does this do for you? If you think about it in any business perspective, it gives you freedom. It most likely gives you energy so you can focus on things that you want to do in your life, whether it's to be growing the business or maybe going on vacation, whatever. So if you think about it, you want to empower your team. You want to train and equip your team with the right tools and knowledge they need to make decisions independently. So this reduces the reliance of them relying on you to decide what decisions to make in the business. And obviously you want to leverage technology with AI. And I'm not saying leverage the blockchain, but definitely leverage AI, leverage content to where every single piece of your business should be documented or should be in a form of content where if someone says, hey, I don't know the pricing to this specific quote because it's custom, well, your employees should definitely know how to do an estimate on something based off of any content you give them because you're training them. They shouldn't have to call you when you're in the middle of dinner to say, oh, hey, what is this? What's the price of this, right? So you can leverage things like content, and then going back to the AI, you can actually use AI to respond to certain people, respond to certain customers, or even use it to generate more content for your consumers to consume. You also have automations that is obviously already been in place, but you could automate a lot of things in your business where you don't have to rely on employees to do so. But your employees should learn this technology so then they don't get replaced, but they use automation to level up themselves. Now they can do other things for the business for you, whether it's going to be maybe they learn how to do sales or another skill that's going to help add value to the business. Then you also have the decentralized practices where you want to think about transparency, security, and trust in your business process. And how do you build this kind of transparency and trust in your business? And it comes from us as a business owner. I need to be able to trust my employees, or I need to be able to trust my partner to do certain things. Now, how am I going to do that? Again, based off of the content that you give them or how they're trained, how they're managed through automation and AI. And all this stuff, when you think about it, it is that shift from 2.5 to 3.0, where now less of the decisions are coming from one singular person, but now they actually see and can cooperate or contribute to some form of content and make their own decision based off what they see, right? So if your employees are just sitting there and not really leveling up themselves, not training or getting better at their job, then your business won't grow. And you're stuck by just continually managing them and you're continually babysitting them and putting out fires. If you shift towards this decentralized mindset and you're literally seeing it firsthand from Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3, that's what's going to level up yourself and your business. As we move towards this Web 3 future, businesses are going to embrace this type of methodology, whether it's through decentralization or autonomy, and we want to empower everyone to thrive. So by taking this step to make your business more adaptable and less dependent on yourself, you're going to position yourself ahead of the curve. I truly think that if you take this and you apply this method to your business, you essentially take yourself out of the business in the flesh and you
essentially put yourself out in the cyberspace where now only your people can literally learn from you. And that's how they're going to grow and they're going to be empowered. Thank you for watching. I hope this video inspired you and helps you think how you can future-proof your business. And if you found this content helpful, please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment below. Until next time, see you soon.